Welcome to the Conscience of Kansas radio show with Paul A. Ibbetson, a no-nonsense conservative talk show that looks at the local, state, and national issues that affect the people of Kansas. And now, here's Paul A. Ibbetson.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, they have a very special guest in Joe Wurzelbacher. Many of you know him as Joe the Plumber. He is here in beautiful Wichita, Kansas, to have a town hall meeting. He's speaking on behalf and endorsing Jim Anderson, who's running for the 4th District here in Kansas. And Joe Wurzelbach and Jim Anderson would like to welcome you both to the Conscience of Kansas radio program.
Glad to be here, Paul, once again, and thanks for inviting us, and a big hello to your listeners.
Well, you know, very happy to talk to you both today. And Joe, we'd like to welcome you to the beautiful state of Kansas. Have you ever been down Kansas way?
Years ago. I enjoy coming back through here. Just in my travels, going from post to post, I've definitely traveled through quite a few times here. Well,
I think you're going to love Wichita. A lot of good people and a lot of things happening. Now, Joe, I wanted to ask you a couple questions. And we're going to play here a little bit of this, historic clip of you talking to Barack Obama on the campaign trail to refresh those that need refreshing, and we're going to play that now. Joe, a lot of people have been asking me to ask you just how much did this conversation with Barack Obama on the campaign trail affect your life?
Well, honestly, because of that question, and mainstream media doing its best to hurt me in any way, shape, and form it could, it actually closed down the business I worked for about 2 months, made it impossible to work. And then at the same time, though, it seemed to spark something in the American people. So that sacrifice I'll gladly make to get Americans off their butts and actually holding our elected officials accountable to their actions is something that has not been done for a very long time. And so, it's a trade-off, and it's one that I'm willing to make for my country.
Well, it's very interesting. When a lot of people look at you, Joe, they see themselves. I tell you what, a lot of Kansans were a lot of hard-working people that punch the clock every day, go out and play by the rules, and really try to get what you call the piece of the American dream. And I wanted to ask you some of your observations, because a lot of people watch those video clips over and over of you talking to Barack Obama, talking about trying to, start a new business, move up probably to a higher pay level, and how your taxes are going to be affected. What were your thoughts when Barack Obama talked about the idea, in my mind at least, Joe, tell me if you agree, that once you get to a certain level, you sort of have, I don't know if it would be a debt to pay to society. It almost seemed that way, as though now you're responsible to pay the taxes, flip the bills for those that have not had the level of success that you're aspiring to or acquiring. It seemed to me that he was saying that you then owed that to people. Aside from what we give one another with charity and all this, what were your thoughts when you were talking to Barack Obama about that?
Honestly, when he said what he said, what went through my mind was ultimately he wanted me to work. Then he wants the federal government to take my money from me, give it to somebody else, and he wants me to go work for it again. The first time wasn't good enough. That was like a dress rehearsal. Now we go do it again. So it made no sense to me. It's about as un-American as it comes. It's called the pursuit of happiness. If you don't work hard, you ain't going to get nowhere, and that's what it means to be free to me. Mm-hmm. Now, as far as charitable givings, Americans have always been the most charitable country in the world. I mean, we are charitable. Just it seems like it's built into us for some reason, being Americans. But not, it's not something for the federal government to dictate to us, and it's definitely not something for the federal government to decide that $250,000 is rich. Because once you allow them to designate this is rich and this is not, you get on a slippery slope. Because next year they're going to come down and say it's 175, and they're going to keep on bringing it down until they have complete control over the American people, and that's something that we have to guard against. And it's something that we haven't been doing as Americans. We haven't been taking our jobs as being Americans seriously. We've just been, it'll get taken care of by somebody else. Well, you know what? It is getting taken care of by somebody else, and those are called con artists, and that's what our politicians are anymore these days.
I agree with you. I got the feeling, a lot of people I talked to got the feeling that Barack Obama was trying to say that you now owe society because you have been successful. You have a debt. You know, we tell prisoners they have to pay a debt to society. You know, so it's something that can be affixed to doing wrong. Where we, with the American spirit, see that being successful, working hard, playing by the rules, and succeeding should be a positive thing, and that's why people come from all over the world to get that dream. When you asked him about that and tried to pin him down, he said to Joe, he said to you, you need to let me allow you to readjust your thinking. Let me allow you to readjust your mind on this. He said you can look at it from two ways. He said you can look at it as though I'm hurting you, which is, I believe, reality for your success, or you can look at it from the point of all these people that have not made it to your level that you need to help by paying taxes to lift them up. Am I hitting on that at all right?
Well, I tell you what, as far as that thought process goes, those people that are going to enjoy the fruits of my labor, I didn't see them down in the damn crawl space with me working 12, 14 hours a day repiping that house. They weren't handing me tools. They weren't sitting there working 70, 80, 90 hours a week next to me. They've been sitting home doing their own thing, and they're going to want the fruits of my labor?
Right.
No, that's just not right. That's not going to work, and I owe nobody nothing other than what I want to do, being a good, solid Christian man, and doing what is instructed me from the Bible and from my own morals and values. That's about the only thing extent that I owe my fellow man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said. And that's where Barack Obama's game plan that he lays out falls apart, is that when you succeed in life, when you have success, you get there by your own hard work. And the idea that we need to lift everyone up that's below us has to include, if Barack Obama's honest, people that are lazy, people that are incompetent, people that just don't want to work, along with those that may have bad things happen to them in their lives and so forth. And that's not what is in the Declaration of Independence, like you say, with the pursuit of happiness. It details the idea that you have to actually go and get that happiness. You have to pursue it. Well, Joe, let me ask you. You're here in Kansas. You're endorsing Jim Anderson. And tell us a little bit why you're doing that.
Ultimately, Jim Anderson and I came together through a mutual acquaintance that holds him in high regard. And so we started talking about Jim. I checked Jim out, and I've had over 100 requests to come out and campaign for different people running races all over the country. And so far, only 5 people have made it on my list, because I check them out. If they call me up and say, hey, listen, I'm a Republican, I'm running, I kind of laugh at them and hang up. I mean, that's not what it's about. It's about the individual, and it's about truly doing what's best for America. It's not about party politics. I won't touch that. I won't play with that, because as far as I'm concerned, the Democrats are Republican, Republicans are Democrat, and they're all liars, cheaters, and thieves. So I came out for Jim because, I mean, him and I think along the same ways. Just common sense is first and foremost our bread and butter. Mm-hmm. And so when we talk about the right to life, that's hugely important. We talk about the sanctity of marriage, hugely important. Second Amendment rights, really being ready to be held accountable to the American people, to the people in Kansas especially, obviously. Mm-hmm. And Jim's going to represent Kansas to Washington and not Washington to Kansas.
No, absolutely.
So we need somebody in there that has morals, values, that aren't going to redefine them when they get in the way, as they are now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just the simple fact that he wants to be a public servant. Now, I uttered those words up on the Hill back in February, and people looked at me like I was stupid. I mean, these politicians I'm speaking to, senators, public servant. What are you talking about, public servants? They're so disconnected from mainstream America. They don't even know what's going on. I mean, if you really think about it, they're appointing Joe Biden head of a task force to study middle class. That right there tells you they're disconnected from mainstream America. They don't even know what's going on with their own citizens.
I think you're right. I think they're not only disconnected, I think that there's a certain disdain for regular mainstream America, that they look down upon regular people that punch the clock, and they're the heartbeat of this country. And